Hey Woody, so we're going to be working on the B flat major scale. This is exercises starting at 139 in your book. One of the things I like to think about, especially for our shifts, is whether or not it's a whole step or a half step. Remember, half step sounds like Jaws, whole step sounds like Happy Birthday. So let's start. Here's 139, first three measures. 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, so notice there how you have to start a whole step interval and then you have a half step interval that's marked with these little upside down hat brackets. So here's this next three measures. Half step, whole step back. Hear that half step there? Between the B flat and the A. Very important there because B flat is the name of our key signature and A would be the seventh of the key, the one that drives it home. Okay? Alright, so here is the next same sort of sound on the D string. Here is the next three measures. Ready, go. Alright, and then the next pattern in the next three measures. Start on open G going to, I believe, second finger for the A. Okay, ready, and. And there we have it. Alright, so here we are in exercise 140. We want to note the half steps and whole steps. So already you're going to see that you're on the E string and your first interval is going to be a half step. Okay, 1 and 2. And then when you shift, it's going to be a whole step. Okay, so think of a whole step length away. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. On the A string, ready, go. Okay, now that we're going on the D string, we're going to note that we start with a whole step interval, and then when we shift, it's going to be a half step away. Here we go. Ready, go. Same thing on the G string, okay? 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, very good. Now let's move on to the B flat major scale. Alright, the important thing to know with this one is you're pretty much going to stay in the same position the whole time, okay? So, everything is pretty much 1-4-0, 1-4-0. Once you get to the top, 2-4, okay? Listen very closely for the whole half step relationships as we get there. All right, 1, 2, ready, and. Keep going, we're gonna flip the page. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So for the B flat major arpeggio, we need to realize a technique that I like to call the next door neighbor. That is when you go from fourth finger on one string to fourth finger on the other. I mean, obviously you can do this with other fingers, but the principle here is that you kind of have to map out in your brain where your fingerboard fourth finger spots are so that you can get there. Now, with the bass, it's a really big instrument. So the difference between over here and over here means a slight change of the angle of your elbow. Because if you are probably aware, if you're playing fourth finger on the on the E string, you have to come over quite a bit. And look what happened to my fourth finger. It went sharp. So I have to get that back to where the tape is, which means forward with the elbow, up and over. The fingerboard is flat, or not flat, it's actually curved, just like the earth. Okay, here we go. B major arpeggio. 1, 2, 3. So here's exercise 143, thirds in B flat major. Luckily with this one, we don't have to change our position at all. The bass is cool, it's made that way. However, we are going to have to jump in with the orchestra as it's doing a second octave. We're going to play our old octave again. To isolate that, I want to look at the last 4 notes of the second measure. Okay, so it starts with an A and then it goes down to a C. Here's that part. With second finger A. Oops, wrong position. Okay, that's the part right there. Let's start from the beginning. Thirds in B flat major. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's all the exercises for B flat major. Enjoy practicing those. Make sure that you're focusing in on your intonation. All right, bye-bye.